idea what's going to happen here. I don't know. It's all point blank. I mean, I see it the first time. Okay, inviting the Queen's Indian, the Queen's Gambit, or the Bogo Indian. Those are the main lines. Or you could even go for a Benoni with this. Let's see what white. Let's see what black plays. Play the Queen's Indian. Okay, main line is this. This has some popularity too. This is a little slower. Now see, look at that, huh? Now one of the ideas here for black is to lose a tempo. You play here, and the idea is you want to drive this knight to d2, and then you bring the bishop back to b7. Let's see what happens. Now you didn't do it immediately. See, now white can develop this knight to c3. Okay. Now you say, well, okay, he puts it on c3, and I'll go here. Well, that's probably not a good idea, but I know somebody would ask a question like that. I'll try to answer it. Let's see what white did first. He did that. Okay, so now let's see what black did. Then we'll look at bishop a6. Okay, he played there. Okay. What's wrong with this move right now? Well, the first thing that I see is wrong with it is the bishop belongs on this diagonal. So you've done it in a different order. So if white really wanted, he could just play this move. And, this bishop is misplaced. We're going to put it back again. You don't want to wiggle your pieces. So the grandmasters figure this out. They figure the openings out for us. They figured out the strategies for us. Let's try to recognize those strategies when we're playing an opening and we're playing the game, and then take it from there. Okay. So I have to sneeze. Coming. Oh man. Okay. Now it's kind of slowly but surely transposing into Queen's Gambit Decline Tartakower variation. That's when black does this, fianchetto. And now if you take with the pawn, there's a possibility we can get the hanging pawns. I just want to set this up in case you've never seen or understood what the hanging pawns are. Those are hanging pawns. They're isolated away from the rest of the pawn family. So they're hanging out there. Now they're very strong as they are right there. Look at all the territory they control, okay? But as pieces are traded, they become weaker. The more pieces get traded, the weaker they are. So black's objective is to get this tactical thrust in at the right time to be able to play d4. And the best example I can give of that, if you do want to look at a Grandmaster game, just to see what happens when that d4 comes, we would research the game Korchnoi versus Karpov, round 1, World Championship match, 1981. Okay, Karpov got that d4 push in, and that was all she wrote for Korchnoi. Okay, so I wanted to show you that. But he likes to take with the knight. Now, one drawback with this strategy is that white can now, not yet, but he will be able to get e4 in with a nice pawn center. Okay, so, while I can't play e4 just yet, I forgot about one thing. You're going to take this and then steal this pawn, but it's probably coming. So let's see what white did. He played e3. Well, you can prepare it and get it in later. It might not have been a bad idea to play a move like Queen c7. That does threaten to go here right away. Okay. So the game looks more or less even here. Both sides of... Well, black's actually ahead in development. He's got his queen out, white doesn't. The game looks pretty even. Now that... I don't know about that. Okay. Why did I say that? Well, it shut the bishop in. So, do you really care if that bishop is there or not? Now, to me, this is an interesting move, although it could have a tactical flaw. Let's see. takes, takes. Now the queen is loose, so we don't have time to take. But we're putting white on the open file. See, suddenly, remember white was behind in development. And I don't know if rook b1's the best move. I'm doing it for illustrative purposes. That rook is, I put it on b1 to show that white can grab 2 open files in a hurry. Okay. Anyway, that doesn't mean that that's white's best move. Maybe his best move is to plant the rook down here. So, but c5 is a move black wants to play, but maybe he has to prepare it. So what if we played here? Now, of course, it's white's turn. But this is coming. How do you stop it? The answer is you don't. Well, so let's develop the queen. Let's put it here. Let's fork. Let's double attack. Let's attack this and let's attack this. So maybe this rook move is not correct. Now, how do we find out? We test. Let's try this rook move. Now we'll still go here to stop this. But I don't know. I don't think black's any worse for wear. He's gonna just take over the e4 square. Now, like I say, the game is even. This is how you analyze, folks. You just look for variations. Now, playable, but I don't like shutting this guy in. Now you could go here. So maybe this is okay. Well, it went that way. That's the other break. I've talked about this before. When you have this kind of, when white has the center pawn here, you come out of certain variations of the French where black is exchanging on e4 on the third move. Come out of a Caro-Kann. Black often has 2 different breaks. So he goes here. Now watch your pawn. Okay. Now, I'm reluctant to play this move. Again, you're limiting the scope of your bishop. You're making, maybe at some point you'll have to defend that pawn. I don't know. Let's see what happens. Okay, now that just invites white to take a protected passed pawn. Although black will have counterplay. I would push d5. He did. Okay, so let's see what black's plan is here. And again, this is why this is a kind of game which is good to study, because we can get somewhere with it. We can't refute Magnus and Caruana's moves. We can refute our own moves, the mere mortals. Well, these guys are decently rated. Well, let me enlarge the board. Okay. All right. So let's see. What should black do here? Okay. Well, one idea is to transfer this knight to this square. Knights are great blockaders of passed pawns. Don't take my word for it. Take Nimzovich's. Okay. Now that's going to take some time. 3 moves to be exact. Knight to f6 to e8 to d6. But then the knight's on a wonderful square. And, white's not going to get rid of that knight too easily. You'd have to play something like knight d2 and knight c4. So that's one plan. If black pushes f5, he runs the risk of dropping his e5 pawn. It could become isolated. Matter of fact, he can't even play f5 here. White controls f5. White would win a pawn. So black's bishop is a good piece, even though it's blunted right now. A lot of his pawns are on the opposite color of the bishop. So we'll just let it sit there now and figure out what to do with it later. So a good plan for black would be to play knight f6 with the idea of knight e8, with the idea of knight d6. Let's see what happens. Well, that clears c5. I mean, it's not a move I expected, but happens a lot now. But that pawn on c4 could become a target. Now it did clear the c5, like I said, it did clear c5 for black's knight. So a good move would be to put this bishop here. Just tuck him back here. Very good. Now, does black get anywhere here? That's probably what he's going to do. No? Okay, well, I didn't like that. Well, I guess it's not so, maybe it's not so bad now. because white's bishop is no longer on d3. Uh, if white takes, it takes a lot out of his pawn on d5. So, you know, I always have a move I consider first or don't consider at all, and I didn't consider that plan. That's why I came up with putting the knight on d6. But black is being aggressive. Black is also taking his time. What happens? Oh, don't tell me they agreed to a draw here. Well, okay, they agreed to a draw. Phooey. I was just getting into this game. Okay, well, let's have some fun with it. Okay, takes. Now, this guy is loose. If we come over here, we might drop this. So let's get... No, you don't have time for this. This just drops. Let's go here. And if you go here, this drops. If you go here, suddenly this black knight starts springing to life. Maybe. I don't know. Let's see. I'm going to steal this. Now you can't go in there. I don't know. I like black's game better. So, you know, black's last moves were good. I don't know who offered the draw, but I'm thinking black did. You know, the draw is not a bad result, but in principle, you know, a couple of things just to keep in mind. You know, I can't draw an arrow with straight arrow if my life depended on it. Okay, the pawn is under pressure. You know, maybe black gets tied down to guarding it or has to put more pawns on light squares. You know, but as brief as it was an interesting game, and I'm going to move on to the next one. So